All right, everyone. Welcome. New chapter. Chapter 12 was a very, very fundamental chapter. Very, very landmark teaching. And is that Eric?
Yep.
All right, Eric. So first of all, we'll start off. Now that Eric's here, we can say L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakel niyeh b'dvorei.
Amen.
And Eric brought some cookies. Always very appreciated. Good choice.
Okay.
Good choice of cookie, by the way. Not too heavy.
That's for you, Morty.
There you go. See, finally, I'm getting it's kosher. It's kosher. Finally, I'm getting the respect I deserve. Right. So some vanilla ice cream on top, but never talk. Okay. So in chapter 12, the Alter Rebbe laid out the fundamental teaching for Tanya, for Chassidus, which is the mind rules the heart. There is no such thing as I couldn't help it. That doesn't exist. Yeah, you have an animal soul. Yeah, you have an impulse. Control yourself. Just like you're given the impulse, God also gave you the ability to control it. You are not an animal. We have similar character traits like an animal. An animal has desires, doesn't think about anything else, just itself. We also too sometimes can have animalistic impulse. But just because you have an animalistic impulse doesn't mean you're supposed to act like an animal. Control yourself. And in the second half of the chapter, the Alter Rebbe explained that it is because that a person, a Beinoni and a Rasha, have these impulses that he's not considered a tzaddik. A tzaddik doesn't have an impulse. And the concept that we ended off, the very powerful concept that we ended off in the last chapter was, from the outside, in thought, speech, and action, the Beinoni is very much similar to the tzaddik. But from the inside, the Beinoni is very much similar to the Rasha. The Rasha has rotten inside of it. He has that drive for selfish, indulgent, and even self-destructive behavior. The tzaddik doesn't have that. So from the outside, the Beinoni and the tzaddik look the same. From the inside, the Beinoni and the Rasha look the same. Okay. Now the Alter Rebbe starts off chapter 13. He's going to go back to something he quoted in chapter 1, which I'm sure, don't forget to make a mezainis. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei midei mezonot. To a quote, he quoted from the Gemara in chapter 1 that a tzaddik, the Yetzer HaTov, the good inclination, judges him. The Rasha, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, judges him. But the Beinoni, both of them judge him. Both the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer HaTov. Again, if I'm using too many Hebraic terms, please.
Can you back up and do that whole thing again?
The tzaddik is ruled by his good inclination.
Yeah.
The Rasha is ruled by his evil inclination.
Yeah.
And by the Beinoni, they're both pushing him.
Yeah.
He's going to explain it right now.
Yeah.
Chapter 13, old print 185, new print, friends?
191.
191. Uvizeh Yuvon, and now we're going to understand Loshin Mamed Azal, the comment of the sages. In the Gemara Brachas, Beinonim Zeh v'zeh Shoifta, and a Beinoni is judged by both their good and evil inclinations. The Ksiv, because it says, Ki Yamei the Eibishter Hashem, the Almighty, stands liyomin, to his right, Evyoin of the poor man. In the Torah, there are different words for a poor man. There's ani, there's dal, evyoin, different terms for a poor man. He stands to the right of the poor man. Lo yeshia, to rescue him, to help him, mishefte nafshe, from the judge of his soul. So now you see the word in the Hebrew, the second to last word, mishofte. You see that word on the line? The second to last word on the Hebrew line, mishofte. When you put a yud at the end of a Hebrew word, at the end of a noun, it makes it plural. Shofet is one. Shoftei means the judge is. So it says God is, the tzaddik need rescuing, No, he doesn't have an evil inclination. Who needs rescuing? Who needs help? The Beinoni. From the judges. Why? Because the Beinoni is judged by both his good inclination and his evil inclination. In the old print, 186, turning the page, the Alter Rebbe points out. No, I'm in the old print. I don't know about you where you are in the new print. Hey, actually, turn the page in the new print as well. V'loy amru, and the Gemara does not say zev v'zeh moshlim. Both of them rule him, because if the Yetzer Hara, what's the difference between judging and ruling? No. Let's see if you can pick up on the nuance. Before the Alter Rebbe says that, what's the difference between judging and ruling?
Ruling means there's some type of control.
Okay, and judging means?
Judging means that something was not under control, and you've got to judge whether it's right or wrong.
Okay, I mean you're on the right track, sort of, yeah.
Could be a difference of like free will. Like if someone is ruling, you have dominion over them. If you're judging someone, you don't have dominion over them. You're judging them on whatever your rules, whatever.
So I thought you were going somewhere else. So
Right.
the ruling means you have control. Your opinion go. Your ruling, judging means you give an opinion. I mean, in American court we have one judge, but in Jewish courts it's a panel. So you're a judge, you give an opinion. Like we had the Supreme Court or appellate courts, you give an opinion. Just because I give an opinion, it means your opinion is going to be listened to. We consider it. It's like when you're married. You have an opinion. It's considered.
But you guys are trained well.
It's the same. The evil inclination you have to kind of like train, just like you train a dog. I mean,
Yeah,
right.
you do. Well, yeah, yeah,
to
exactly.
make it- to get the good out of the,
Because the evil inclination is stuck in the now, what it wants now.
Yeah.
It doesn't like a kid says, "I want candy before bed." Candy tastes good. But you're gonna go to the kid and say candy doesn't taste good? Candy tastes good.
But not before bed.
Before bed, it tastes good too.
Yeah.
So you go to the kid and say,
Sweeter.
it's even sweeter, right? You can't go to the kid and say, candy doesn't taste good. What do you mean? Of course it tastes good. The idea, you go to the kid and you have to train him and say, listen, I understand it's sweet. I understand it's delectable and it's attractive, but it's not healthy. You have to train it. And we're all we're constantly having to train ourselves. Just when you're 8 years old, it's candy before bed. And maybe when you're 48 years old, it's your phone before bed. I read an article, it's a fascinating article, and I do the same thing. Sometimes we work very hard during the day, and we say, I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to go on my phone. And what are we doing? You're depriving yourself of sleep. You think you're rewarding yourself, but you're depriving yourself of sleep. And the way the article's written was fascinating. I'm thinking, yeah, I do that. And you're thinking, I worked very hard. I want to zone out. I deserve now.
So the one thing that they say,
Yeah.
coming from my line of work, is that you need to, like if you're a coffee drinker, you can't have coffee 8 hours before you go to bed. If you watch TV, you need to turn off a half an hour before you go to sleep.
Right.
No blue light, no light at all, an hour before bed.
Right.
Because otherwise you will not be able to go to sleep.
But your brain needs time too. Like I can never understand those people who fall asleep watching TV. I can never.
My
Really?
wife falls asleep to TV.
Who?
My wife falls asleep to TV.
I don't
My
know.
head hits the pillow and in 10 seconds I am asleep.
No, yeah, but
And my wife gets very upset.
No, my-
Go to sleep after me. 'Cause it's so upsetting.
my wife also gets upset. But
Takes her a
but
while.
if the radio's on or sound is on or pictures on,
Oh
I
no,
can't fall asleep.
if the radio's on, I can fall asleep.
I can't.
But
I
if
need,
the TV is on, I cannot.
I need zero stimulation. I need to be
No,
quiet.
She has to have it on. I can have it quiet.
Yeah.
Depends how hungry, how tired.
Well, obviously.
Like for example, if Sabrina and Seth go out of town, I fall asleep with the TV on. I'm up all night long. I cannot sleep.
Yeah.
Whether they go away for a week, for a month, or for however long.
Yeah, just because you're used to sleeping here with somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the difference is, the Alter Rebbe says here, that it doesn't say in the Gemara that both the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hara rule the Beinoni, because rule means the Beinoni would do something wrong. Rule means I command, you listen.
Right.
That's you ever see Fiddler on the Roof? And the song, anyway, everyone comes to see Muttl's new sewing
I
machine.
thought that was a requirement to come to these
Right.
classes.
And everyone gets to see Muttl's new sewing machine, but Tevye, because he had held up at work, he's the last one to come, and the whole family wants to go, and he wants to see the machine, and she's like, "No, let's go." And he's saying, "Golda, I am the man of the house, and I want to see Muttl's new machine." He opens the door. Now we can go home, right? It is the best. Chaim Tumble just passed away. All of but the rule means that the people listen to you. Judge means you have an opinion. That's what the Gemara says. Chas v'shalom doesn't say that he's ruled by both the good and evil inclination. Ki, why? Kishiyesh as a shlita, because when the evil nature, when evil nature gains any rule or dominion, be'ir katana in the small city, the person is called a small city. Afilu l'shakali, even for a small moment. Nikarash b'isarasha. What is an evil person? A person who's evil means he's under the dominion of evil. That's why you're doing bad things. So if a person is under the dominion of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, he's evil. And we already learned before that a Beinoni is not a Rasha. A Beinoni doesn't do anything wrong. Ella Yetzer Hara in Iraq, the Yetzer Hara is only, for example, shefet, like a judge, or dayan, or a magistrate. He gives his opinion. It's like being in the it's like being on the minority in the court. You give your opinion. It's never listened to.
Yeah.
Va'av begain, and still yachal liyos. It's still possible. Just because you gave an opinion, the possibility is there. Shelo yeh psak halacha kein lamaisa. Kach lamaisa, that the law, the decision will not be in your favor. Why? So the smallest court in Jewish law is a panel of three. So one judge says this, the other judge says that. Who's the law like?
The third judge is the one who makes.
Yeah.
Oh, the third judge is the one that decides. Who's the third judge? You have Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Tov. Your good inclination and the evil inclination. Who's the third judge? You. It's very good. You're the third judge. You make the decision. But it continues with Sarach lachriya b'neihem, and you have to, and it becomes necessary to arbitrate between them. And the final verdict follows the arbitrator. Kach, the same thing is page 187 in the old print. The evil inclination gives his opinion in the heart. Let's do this. Come on, let's go. Let's eat and drink and whatever it is. Let's do whatever is attractive. And the heart goes over to the mind. Okay, the ice cream is good. The cookie is good. The wine is good. The meat's good. Whatever it is, that thing's attractive. Now that we determine it's attractive, now think about how are we gonna get it. Now, once the evil inclination rises up to the brain, there's no free reign over there. Who resides in the brain? Your godly soul, the Yetzer Tov. Immediately, it's interesting, by the way, if you notice, who does the Alter Rebbe say starts first? The evil inclination or the good inclination?
Evil.
Because that's how it works, right? Mm-hmm. The impulse comes, get it, I want it. And your good inclination is, whoa, slow down, right? No one's going anywhere, right? Immediately, the Ashefet Hasheni, the second judge, challenges him. Which is the godly soul in the brain. Now, we also learned back in, I think it was chapter 9, that the godly soul also has an effect on emotion. Otherwise, service of God would be emotionless. So it does have a seat. So it does have ability to have an effect on the heart itself. Makoin Mishkan Yetzer Tov, the place where the Yetzer Tov dwells. The good inclination is actually the voice of the divine soul. The good inclination battles the evil, ensuring that the latter's passion not be realized. Halacha and the law, the final verdict, as the arbitrator, Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, That is God. Now, if you turn back, not turn back, sorry. On the previous page, previous page, it says that he stands at the right hand of the poor man.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the poor man here? You and I, we're the poor man. Because what does the poor man mean? Poor man means you lack the ability, you lack the capacity. Let me ask you, let's talk realistically speaking. You think we stand a chance against the evil inclination?
Barely.
No, not at all.
Because think about it. There's a famous story that Levi Yitzchak Berditchev once said, God, you're a big trickster. You put all the mitzvahs and all the reward for doing good in the books. You put all the temptation around us. Why did you put the temptation in the book and all the godly reward outside? It's not a fair. It's not a fair playing field. The only reason why the person stands a chance is because God is there. God helps us. That's what we say. God is assisting, is helping the good inclination to enable to prevail over the evil inclination. Like it says in the Gemara, if God would not help a person to overcome his evil inclination, he would not have the strength, he would not have the ability to do so. Because it's a lot easier. I was working on losing weight, right? For like 3-4 weeks, I was slowly pound here, pound there. Went for a week with my friends. Gained like 6-8 pounds, and I made a monumental scientific discovery. It's a lot easier to eat wrong than to eat right.
On the other hand, had you not lost those few pounds, you would have been that much heavier.
Right, maybe.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. So, but the point is, doing the wrong thing
It's so much easier.
so much easier. Like fast food, and someone told me this recently. Fast food and unhealthy food is cheaper, it's faster.
Yep.
Well, cheaper is debatable because long term you have more health issues.
Okay,
So it costs you a lot more.
no, but we're talking about the food itself, right?
But up front, yeah.
Right. But the only reason why we have a fighting chance against evil inclination is because the Eibishter Hashem is there to help us. Now, what is the help? How's the help manifest? So it continues on page 188. Yeah.
Living in Pembroke Pines with no kosher restaurants around you for the fast food.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. By the way, my friends live in New York and they're always posting pictures going out. So I'd be an animal. Right? Usually I don't go out to eat because I'm just lazy to drive all the way.
Yeah, believe me, it's a long way to Shoals.
Yeah.
It's worth it though. Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth it. You been to Shoals' place? We gotta go.
But to say what you were saying really quick, I have a coworker who's married with 5 kids. It's cheaper for him to go through McDonald's
Yeah, it's good.
to eat versus preparing lunch or dinner at his house.
Yeah, I mean,
By Kosher
I mean,
Central.
yeah,
or
you,
something.
right, I don't know how much a hamburger is, $4, $5, whatever it is. I have no idea what it costs there. I'm saying,
What's it called?
So it's just it's cheaper
You-
for him to eat
Yeah.
that
Kosher
way.
Central. You go through
And
the
I've
light.
encouraged him to stop
right.
56
for
Avenue.
66 days. If he proves to me that he's
Well,
stopped,
actually, the
he'll
light
get
that's right there.
something
Right.
is where
as
you make the
reward.
left.
Yeah.
You go up.
At
at least for him. I'm not
Halfway between.
Right, not everyone.
Sharon-
I don't,
Not
she's
for
saying,
everybody.
she's saying I don't get a reward for not going to McDonald's.
Really
correct.
hard
Oh,
to see
man.
if you don't know.
All right,
There's no kosher McDonald's.
there is in Israel one,
Oh,
in
in
Argentina.
The answer
Argentina
is
one?
There's a kosher
GPS.
Dunkin' Donuts on my
Yeah.
What's the
All right.
What's the place called?
Let's go back. Paisanos. Okay, well, after class. So what's the help? The help is you have to look at the godly soul as a flame, and it's a pilot. And that pilot never goes out. And in the instant heat water, but not the ones that are electric and gas. So in Argentina they have them. They don't have tanks of water. They have these things and it automatically cooks the water. And sometimes you can see the fire, right? So what does God do in order to help you overcome the Yetzer Hara? The Yetzer Hara is fire. So what does he do? He flares up your godly soul. you have a burning of a desire, a burning sensation of the godly soul. It helps to overcome the animal soul. He says over here, Eva Ezer, and the help ha'ara. This is the glow. Shemeir Hashem al nefesh this is the divine light that illuminates his divine soul. Liya is l'cha that yisarim v'shlita, it gains superiority and mastery al sichlus. Look at this. There's a word of the folly, seal of the fool of evil inclination. Because eating candy before bed is a bad idea. Well, eating candy probably any time is a bad idea, but we won't go there. Well, let's stick to before bed, right? But the evil inclination comes to you and says, no, you really, really need it. You really should buy this. And you're thinking, come on, man. Stop being an idiot. The Yetzer Hara is not full of good ideas. Yetzer Hara is full of bad ideas. But he's so busy talking, so busy yapping, you don't get a chance to, like we said before.
Get a word in edgewise.
It's a salesman who doesn't stop talking.
You see, it's when you're talking about eating before bed and whatever. My grandfather, when I was being raised, always had breakfast at 7, lunch at 12, a snack between lunch and dinner, but dinner was always at 5 o'clock. Except on Shabbos.
Right.
Shabbos ate after temple.
Right.
He was never obese. He was never. That's where my head is at, trying to eat the same way.
Did you see that video that came out like a month or two ago, like from the 1930s in New York, early 1930s in New York? You see everyone walking on the street.
Mm-hmm.
No one has that. No one has a weight problem.
No, there was no fast food.
Go to the 70s and see that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like videos of like beachgoers in like Coney Island in the 70s and stuff, and like no one's fat. Like
No.
very rare.
So, what changed?
Fast food.
What
Walking.
changed? Processed foods, people's diets, people's
Walking.
dependency. Yeah,
Walking,
exactly.
walking.
You asked what happened. Did your grandfather have a car? I bet you he walked a lot. I mean, my grandparents made it a thing to always walk every day.
I mean, the only time my grandfather walked was to synagogue on Miami Beach and then home
Okay.
on Friday and Saturdays, and Sundays because they lived so close to it. But every place else, they
Right.
drove.
Yeah, well,
But-
he lived down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, you
couldn't.
gotta drive down
Yeah.
here.
He
So-
lived on South Beach.
So but what the Alter Rebbe is saying over here is, and it's important always to keep in mind, this is what the Alter Rebbe stated in chapter 12. The choice between doing the right thing and the wrong thing is not an equal choice.
No, you're always gonna know what's wrong.
If you stop and think for a moment, it's very crystal clear. The Yetzer Hara is called a fool, and his advice is bad advice. Yes, and the difference, it's not that.
Don't take half.
And he's saying that the difference is not a subtle difference. He says Ki yisra in ha'ara l'cheshech. It's a difference between light and dark. Just like light is so far superior over dark.
Just a drop of it.
The light is so far superior over dark. So too. What the Yetzer Hara Atoiv is telling you is so much more superior than the Yetzer Hara. Let's look at the note on the bottom of page 4. Bottom of page 188, note 4. It was stated in the previous chapter that man's mind innately rules his heart. Why then do you need assistance? If in chapter 12 the Alter Rebbe said the mastery over mind over heart is natural, what do you need God's assistance? It's natural. The Rebbe answers like this: the divine assistance is necessary when the conflict between the two souls does not involve the struggle of mind versus heart. For example, when the divine soul wishes to prevent sinful thoughts from arising in the mind, or when the emotive faculties of the divine soul seek to overpower those of the animal soul. That's normal. But now the question may be reversed. Why in chapter 12 does Alter Rebbe use the argument of mind's natural supremacy over the heart to point out the divine's supremacy over the animal soul? The Alter Rebbe answers this. The Rebbe answers in chapter 12, the Alter Rebbe speaks of the state of the Beinoni after prayer, when the effect of his meditation and godliness during prayer still lingers in his mind. At such time, his mind is suffused with godliness to the point where the animal soul cannot so much as voice an opinion during prayer. Thus, any struggle between the souls at that time would be a case of mind versus heart, where the natural supremacy of the mind could confer with the divine soul. But here we're talking about during the course of the day. During the course of the day, then the battle it's much more of a pitched battle between equal sides. So now the Alter Rebbe is going to now begin. Not going to begin a sort of a new topic. In the beginning of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe quoted the famous Gemara. It says, we make a person swear that before a person's born, we make him swear, be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha. Well, what do you mean? If you're a tzaddik, then you're automatically not a rasha. If you're, right? What's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of that oath? And then we said, if a person considers himself a tzaddik, considers himself a rasha. We said, and even if the whole world tells you you're a tzaddik, consider yourself a rasha. And we said, if you consider yourself a rasha, then you're going to be despondent or you'll be callous. So now that I was going to say, doesn't say you are a rasha. It's going to say like a rasha. That means you got to be. If you're a Beinani, you got to know what's inside of you, because everyone's going to come over to you and say, "Look, you act like a tzaddik. Everything you do is perfect. Everything you say is perfect. I'm sure everything you think is perfect. So you're a tzaddik." And you might turn around and say, "Hey, maybe I'm a tzaddik. Maybe I'm impervious. I'm immune to sin." That Beinani, the moment a person thinks that he's incapable of sin, then he falls down. Then he's standing at the precipice of the abyss. So now we're going to they're going to say, now we can understand, because we explained that the Beinani and the rasha, the average man and the wicked man, have similarities inside. Since the evil in the left part of the Beinani's heart is just as strong as when he was born, it's still yearning and striving for physical things. The craving after every pleasure of this world. We're holding right after which is the 25th of Tevet. And it has not been nullified. It hasn't been lessened compared to the good. And it hasn't been pushed away. That means it's still, by the Beinani, it's still pumping. Chocolate cake. It's still going. The only thing is, because the Beinani has worked on himself, ein li shlita. The evil inclination doesn't have rule. He will not allow the evil inclination to find expression in order to be diffused in the limb of the body, to act out on that impulse. Why? Why are you being such a good boy? Because God's helping you. And he's helping it with that glow of the godly soul we said before. Therefore, nikra kirasha. In Hebrew, a chaf before a word means like. Doesn't say consider yourself a rasha. Doesn't say even if the whole world says you're a tzaddik, consider yourself a rasha. It says even if the whole world says you're righteous, consider yourself kirasha, like a rasha. It says like it says in Ovis, even if the whole world says you are a tzaddik, hey necha kirasha. But loy rasha mamish, and not an actual rasha. What do you mean? You think he's stupid? Remember one of the questions we asked was Rabbah. Rabbah said, I'm an average man. An average man never violates. You think Rabbah didn't know that he never did an Aveda? How can Rabbah say, I am a rasha? He didn't say, I'm a rasha. He said, maybe I could be like a rasha. Maybe I have the evil impulse inside of me, but I never let it find expression. And you should not believe society that says no one knows what's going inside of you. I don't know. I could look at you and you could be a very nice guy, right? You come to shul, you daven, you pray, you seem to be a nice, refined person. I have no idea the demons you're dealing with inside. So Michael J., you're a tzaddik. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no idea what's going inside. Could be. And the problem is, and you have a lot of people coming over to you and calling you, big rabbi and everything else, you think, hey, maybe I am a big rabbi. That's why I always say, why it's so important for all Chabad rabbis to go to the conference in New York. Why is it important to go back to your stomping grounds? Because when you go back to Brooklyn, you're not rabbi. You're Morty. You're a little nut and you sit in the back of the shul. Over here, standing there. Everybody needs to have them, because the biggest problem is when you start to believe in yourself, then you have, then you have big problems. Moshe Rabbeinu warns in the book of Devarim, says you're going to go into the land of Israel and you become successful. And why are you successful? Because God's blessing. And you're going to say, God, the power and the strength of my hand made me the success. I tell you, are you familiar with Bar Kokhba? Bar Koziba? Rabbi Kiva thought he was Mashiach. He led a very successful rebellion against the Romans in the year 120. And they thought he was the Messiah, because it says the Messiah is going to fight the wars of the Jews, right? And they thought he was the guy. He was a learned guy, a righteous guy. He checked all the marks. And one time he's going out to battle, Rabbi Kiva said, "May God be with you in your battle." And Bar Kokhba said, "I don't need God to help me. I don't need God to help them. I just need God to stay out of the way." And that's when Rabbi Kiva said, "All right, he's not the one." It's very, very easy to fall into that trap, right? So, unless you're a tzaddik, and if you're a tzaddik, you know you're a tzaddik.
You do?
Yeah, tzaddik knows. A tzaddik knows that he has no impulse. See, you can probably stopped. No, okay, leave it alone. All right. So a tzaddik knows that he has no impulse for chocolate cake, and you can tell me, chocolate cake. I would never eat chocolate cake. But meantime, in inside, like the story with the young man with the girl, right, who turned towards the wall. Remember that line I told you, the story? And the rabbi told him the idea is not to look at the at the wall and think about the woman. The idea is to look at the woman and think about the wall, right? You can talk a big game all you want. I have no idea what's going inside. The only one who knows what's going inside is you. So, it's very to fool everyone else is no big deal. To fool yourself. What's the big deal to fool a fool? Meaning, this is one of the my biggest lesson I took away from Tanya. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to cut the garbage. One day you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Who am I?" You can tell everyone else that, "Oh, I don't like chocolate cake and I don't find that attractive and I would never do such a thing," but you got to know inside. That's what the Alter Rebbe is saying over here. It doesn't say if you're not a Russia, if you're not a wicked person, and you daven and you pray and you do everything you're supposed to say, "No, I'm really a bad guy." Really, you're a murderer. You're a bad guy. That's not. We're not talking about you're a bad guy. The question is, do you have the capacity to do something you're not supposed to? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then you have to be careful. That's all. He's saying, and not the bottom of 190, and not to believe in the world that says that the evil has been totally nullified. This is the level of a tzaddik. Ella 191. We'll finish off with the 3 dots over there, the bottom of the page 191. Ella, he should be in his eyes. His view should be the essence and core of their evil. Who betakfa is as strong, and has the same might in the left part of his heart, just as when he was born. And not having vanished or departed with him at all. Just because you do everything right doesn't mean you have the capacity. You say you don't have the capacity. I mean, does a religious person have the capacity to eat shrimp?
Yeah.
Just because he's never ate shrimp? Maybe he doesn't even desire shrimp, but he doesn't have the capacity. Of course he has the capacity.
He's got a mouth, teeth, a tongue, and everything else is working.
So
He has the capacity.
Maimonides says famously, a person should never say, "Oh, I can never eat that. I can never do that." No, because of course you can. If God commanded you not to do it, it's because you can. But God is commanding you not to. So Rabbi Rambam says a person should never say, "I can never." A person instead should say, "God commanded me not to, so I don't." There's a chassid, I told the story before, I love the story. One of my favorites. There's a chassid who lived with the idea that the entire Torah speaks to every single person. And he would read to the Torah. At some of the parts he had a very, very hard time. Like when he came to the book of Leviticus and it talks about all the forbidden relationships, and it talks about some really lewd, lascivious behavior over there. And he would look up to heaven and says, "God, that's what you think about me? Really? You really think I'm capable of doing that? I mean, really?" So you say, well, says it there, then
It's true.
obviously I have it in me. I got to work on myself. Right?
Well, that's like everybody has to work on themselves to become a better person.
But if you believe you're perfect, you'll never work on yourself.
But nobody, nobody is perfect.
A tzaddik is perfect. A tzaddik is always trying to get better, but he's not. Meaning the difference between a tzaddik is working on himself and a regular person is we work on ourselves because we have to keep our impulse for bad at bay.
Correct.
And that's improving ourselves. And the more we work on ourselves, the less the power of the impulse is. The less you exercise the impulse, the weaker that muscle becomes. A tzaddik's on a different level. That was chapter 10. We spoke about a tzaddik. He's only going higher. He's not. He's an alien. He's not. He's half human. He's not a normal person. And he said, and we'll finish off. And on the contrary, this chazik yeser, the evil has gained strength. B'meshech hazman. Right? When you were a kid, you wanted candy. Now you don't want candy. Adults don't want candy. Right? Adults want drugs. Adults want cigarettes. Adults want alcohol.
Candy.
No, I'm saying, but that
That
doesn't.
must be a child.
Meaning.
I like a candy bar every now and then.
I'm saying the impulse for adults is a lot stronger and more dangerous than kids. Yeah, exactly. Like you could put marijuana. You could put marijuana in brownies. Right? Right. Why?
Tokeless brownies.
Because why is your evil impulse? Let's finish off. Why is your evil impulse become so strong? Because you spent your whole life achila, eating, shtia, and drinking, and all the other material things. You spent your entire life fulfilling the needs of your material body. So it's very hard to say this is a need and this is a want. It's very hard. You look back. How many people can honestly say, "Oh no, I've only done what I needed, and never done what I wanted"? It's very hard. All of a sudden now, just because you have a track record, you're on a diet for 3 weeks, and say, "Oh, I can never eat a hamburger now because I'm eating salad for 3 weeks." Relax, okay? All right, you be eating salad and fries for you be eating donuts, whatever it is, right? And Twinkies, for 27 years, whatever it is. All of a sudden now, because
all of a sudden I'm gonna give up because I'm a vegan.
I know, but say and say he said I can never do it. Relax, all right?
There are plenty of vegan desserts.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
And Whole Food makes a vegan carrot cake.
So
A lot of
let's
things
finish.
You don't know until you're old and
You're exposed to it.
Then
Yeah.
you realize that
Yeah.
you're
That's right.
that you made a mistake.
Let's finish
You
off.
know right away.
As with every faculty, constant use of the animal soul causes it to become stronger than it was at birth. The Alter Rebbe this concludes that the words "consider yourself like a Rasha" means that one must consider himself a Beinoni. The above applies even to those who have reached a lofty spiritual level. They too should consider themselves Beinonim, for should one consider himself a tzaddik and maintain that the evil inside him has already been nullified by good, he will cease to do battle. And once he ceases to do battle, now the evil can reassert itself, and then you're in real big trouble. And that's why we find stories of people who we thought were very, very great men. We thought they were tzaddikim, and they thought they were tzaddikim too, and they were impervious. And all of a sudden, they sunk to very, very, very low places.
Shabtai Tzvi.
Shabtai was never a tzaddik. No, but there were people that he thought, and he gave off. He definitely thought he was. No, but you have Yechid and Kain Gadol and other people that we thought were great people. The lesson you have to be, the person you have to be most.
How much were they?
The person you have to be the most wary of? Yourself. Be careful of yourself. That's that's the lesson, because your impulse has a very. By the way, that's why. On a side note, and this will be the last point we'll end off. Many people I don't degrade, but they kind of laugh at the religious community that they get married young.
Yeah.
Right, 22, 23, 24. Oh, you're babies, you're too young. But there's wisdom, because when a person is older, and their animal soul has grown so much more stuck in their way, it's very hard to adapt to another person. They're not as flexible, because they've had so much time to exercise what they want. But when a person's younger, and as he's saying over here in this paragraph, when a person's younger and their animal soul is not as rigid, not as worked out, it's a little easy. It's more pliable. You can mold it to another person's lifestyle. Like God in, another person in. This is what you got to do.
Unless that person was raised by my ex-wife.